Oh, I don't think there's a secret sauce to it.
Yeah.
I think that, however people go about staying in touch with one another, you just have to be cognizant of that and want it to be genuine and authentic. I don't think some people may just have to put some things in their calendar to remind them. But as long as your outreach is authentic and genuine, that's all that matters. I think for me, that kind of like genuine connections and networking.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Connect Over Coffee. Today, I am joined with the legendary Mr. Devon Sherwood. Devon is currently the Senior Director of Sports Innovation at Mellon. Devon, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. So, of course, we're going to kick things off with our 2-minute drill. So I'm going to rapid fire a couple questions at you, and you just answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's go. Coffee or tea?
Tea, easily.
AJ1s or Yeezys? Yeezy 350s to be more specific.
AJ1s. Jordan got all the way.
Jay-Z or Kanye musically?
Hove.
All right. Favorite sports team?
I can't say it's, I would say Duke sports in general, Duke University sports in general.
Okay.
I don't know.
Favorite athlete?
Michael Jordan.
Okay. Favorite song or song that gets you hyped every time you hear it?
Ooh, I wouldn't say it's a favorite song, but that Meek Mill Dreams and Nightmares just hits different.
Okay. Yeah, and another person.
But it hits different for like sports and everything.
For Meek Mills, he has that energy, so I get it.
Yeah.
He definitely brings the hypeness on.
I'm on that.
All right, so let's connect a little bit further here. You're now working in the metaverse. Talk to me about what made you want to make that transition from traditional sports teams, working on the marketing side, to jumping into this metaverse role and sports innovation on that realm.
Yeah, I just think that what's happening in that space is so undefined, which I think is a very cool thing in the sense that it's limitless. It's a place where a lot of the next generation is currently at right now. And even so in this space, it literally covers every single kind of kid and even young adults that are on this space and frequenting these spaces on different platforms. So I just felt that it was cutting edge. It was something that did not have per se a cyclical pattern to it. You never know what your week by week will look like. You never know what brands or opportunities you get to work with or partner with. And it was something that I felt that would be tremendous for my skill development and being able to kind of collaborate with a number of different unlimited companies and be able to learn as well. I think a really key important thing in terms of navigating one's career is constantly putting yourselves in positions where you're not exactly have full control of everything, but you're learning every day, and that just develops just a phenomenal opportunity for growth. And I felt that this opportunity to work in this metaverse space would do exactly that, and it hasn't let me down.
No, that's awesome. You talk about growth there, and one of the things when I talk to like people in my community and people I network with, is they always tell me, you have to trust the process, right? For me, instant eye roll because I'm impatient, but definitely something I've learned to trust the process. But for you, you worked 6 years or more with the Mets. How did you kind of have that mentality to trust the process to get you to that next level?
Yeah, I just think that it's surrounding yourself with people that want the best for you and that have different like schools of thought because they provide different like forms of advice and have being persistent and not necessarily looking to jump, hop, and skip any chance you get. Although I understand that from time to time, but I think for me, like being able to work at the New York Mets for like 6 years and to be able to hold down like 2 different kind of roles to get different insights as to how that business is run or how that franchise is run gives you like different kinds of experiences that not only give you different skill sets, but also make you a little bit more well-rounded. And I felt that with that Mets experience let me do that and also let me kind of have different conversations with different folks that would enable me to make, good decisions moving forward into whatever the next thing may be.
Yeah.
So I think that's how that experience kind of helped me along my career.
No, that completely makes sense. And then I feel like an overall theme, especially when we do these chats here, is the networking, or be more specific, since we're in the metaverse, the Web3, building a community. So speaking a little bit about building a community, how have you gone about building that professional community around you, and how do you keep engaged with them?
Oh, I don't think there's a secret sauce to it.
Yeah.
I think that, however people go about staying in touch with one another, you just have to be cognizant of that, and want it to be genuine and authentic. I don't think some people may just have to put some things in their calendar or remind them. But as long as your outreach is authentic and genuine, that's all that matters. I think for me, that kind of like genuine connections and networking and fostering relationships has always led me from one opportunity to another opportunity. And more often than not, it was something that happened over a long period of time. It wasn't necessarily something that I met someone and then 4 months later I had an opportunity to interview for a position, or for me to be able to fortunate enough to land a role somewhere. I think it was always something that kind of happened along the way, that it was just a genuine relationship that was able to kind of be watered and over a course of time. And every single job I've held down was kind of like, I've had those opportunities along the way, whether they've been conversations that happen every couple of months, or conversation that happens every week, or conversation that happens like once a year.
Yeah.
Just those touch points are so crucial. And for that person on the end of the phone, or on the other end of the email, to be able to feel that sincerity, and then for them to kind of see you grow, even if it's not necessarily changing jobs, but to have an understanding as to what this person is doing, what he or she are interested in, so that if something does arise or something does come up, they might have you in mind.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like along the lines of like, don't start like networking because you want a job. You want to network and be able to build genuine relationships just for growth. And then if something should arise in terms of, and when I mean by growth, I'm just mean by emotional growth, professional growth, in terms of how to like navigate the landscape. Because then when something does arise, or an opportunity may be there, they think of you. And it's just up to you from that point on to be able to kind of like, interview and see where you fall.
No, that's great. Did you kind of start that networking aspect back in college, or do you recommend even starting that networking process while you're in college?
I fully recommend starting that networking process as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's college, sometimes people do it in high school, believe it or not, but like locally within their own community, or having conversations with people that they deem to be like, potential mentors. But for me, it kind of happened in college, although I feel like I didn't really do a great job of that in college. But as it turned out, some of the connections that I was able to develop and kind of help me started actually through college. So I would recommend to students that are in college and that are going through the process of figuring out what they want to be and what situations they want to put themselves in, what areas in industries that they have interest in, to be able to utilize all the resources that their universities provide them, whether it's going to a career fair or career center, whether it's getting in touch with personnel that's in their respective schools in order to kind of have those conversations and facilitate some of those connections to some of the alumni. I think that's all positive. I think that's all positive. And that's dedication. It comes back to kind of being cognizant of knowing that you're in school, but part of it is to be able to kind of dive into that network and to be able to kind of utilize that in order to kind of start generating ideas into which to how you see yourself a couple of years down the line, because you don't want to not take advantage of the opportunity and come out and then not be able to have any kind of connections or understanding as to kind of what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, even going back to my experience, that's something I wish I would have done way more in college, was networking. So Devon, so have you ever experienced an MJ moment? Or actually, I'll rephrase this from you, since you are a Duke alum here. Have you ever experienced a Christian Leitner moment where where something someone said or did motivated you to essentially be better and prove them wrong?
Oof, that's a great question. I think it happens more often than not, because I make a lot of mistakes from time to time. So I think we're always striving to kind of take that feedback and be able to kind of be that much better the next time, not to make the same mistake twice. I think it's crucial. We're all human. We all, make mistakes from time to time. But I think a Christian late in the moment where I got advice from somebody, or is it more so you're referring to when I got advice from someone and then kind of was able to kind of take
Yeah, I
that?
mean, I would say even if it wasn't intended to be the advice you weren't looking for, or they didn't intend to offend, that's probably a better way to phrase it there. Advice, or just something that just kind of rubbed you the wrong way that they said or did, that kind of made you like, okay, I'm gonna just have that chip on my shoulder a little bit and move forward and do better than what you thought or it was expected of me.
I think I've always been fortunate. I think I've always been fortunate in terms of the people that I reported into, the way they deliver the advice or critique or feedback.
Yeah.
It's more so coming from a place of like, we think you can do this, and we're bringing this up because of this, and our expectations are Z.
Mhm.
And I've been fortunate enough to be able to have a lot of communication with the people that I report into, whether it was with the Mets or whether it was with Monumental Sports Entertainment when we worked in the same company, or even with Mellon right now, where that communication line is always there. It's always open in terms of being able to get that real live feedback. So I feel like I had those conversations on a week-to-week basis, not necessarily something that rubs off wrong to me, but more so an understanding as to kind of what our goals and our goals are for the company or for the department that I'm in, and what I need to do in order to kind of make sure that we drag that across the finish line. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything that necessarily rubbed me the wrong way. I used to use some kind of motivation from time to time for sports like that. Like
Mhm.
my past, from what people may have said or what they thought that I could or could not do. But from a professional standpoint, I don't think I've ever run across a situation where I felt like, I'm gonna prove that person, improve her, or prove him
Yeah.
wrong.
So from a sports perspective, what was that story like? I'm curious to know.
I don't want to throw anybody on the bus, but I mean, I just feel
No
like,
names, no names.
yeah, in the past, I just feel like some people have doubted me athletically in some ways, and I just felt that, I had to like set myself out to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Um, I felt like I was able to kind of accomplish some of that. Yeah, it's just whatever you need to use as gas and motivation. I'm all about it.
Yeah.
Whether spoke about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan used to make up stuff in his head to kind of give himself that motivation famously. So I feel like for sports wise, I've just used different moments in past where I felt like I can point to that and kind of get into another zone or get to a different level of play.
Yeah, no, that completely makes sense. And that's kind of where that question came from. Like, especially for me, it may not have been advice that I've gotten from professionally that was said wrong or meant anything wrong with it, but it drove me. It's like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
going to take it the wrong way, maybe a little bit, so I can get to that next level, and then, come back to it and look at it from a different perspective and see, okay, this is how you got to this next level from the advice that you got, even if it was bad advice, good advice, what have you. But like, use that as a little bit of fuel to keep going and keep pushing forward there. So definitely that question came from a little bit of MJ himself and making up stories in his head, and just trying to find that fuel to that fire to fuel you to be better there. But yeah, it's definitely, from my college career to professional career, there's been some moments, and I tell you off camera about a couple of them. So for sure.
I'll be waiting.
Yeah, definitely. And then finally, Devon, we made it to our last question here. The last question, we call it the
Wow, this is quick.
Yeah, we like to keep it quick coffee over, the chat here, real quick and easy questions, easy going there. Tea, I'm actually a tea drinker myself there, so just coffee and connect sounds a little bit smoother coming off the tongue. But our final question here, we call it the shit you wish you knew. And that's loosely translates to one piece of advice you wish you could tell your younger self or someone just starting out in this sports and entertainment world.
Don't be afraid to fail. A lot of us really grow a lot from the failure. Sometimes when things go well, it's kind of like, all right, good, got that locked down. But sometimes when things kind of don't go the way you think it can go, you can really use that as an experience to kind of figure out what's the best process, what's the best way of going about it. So when this pops up or rises next time, I should do A as opposed to doing B.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of times, like sometimes our biggest opponent is ourselves in terms of when you're looking at like right now, there's a whole process right now to applying for jobs and how you go about seeking jobs. And that is really intimidating because they don't teach you that in college
That's true.
or in high school. Like, in terms of when you see these job descriptions that look pretty intimidating. I mean, you have like an 8-page job description for like an assistant role or coordinator role. And a lot of times that really just is an intimidation factor. And I tell a lot of people that I come across, hey, don't be intimidated. Like, you don't make a shot unless you shoot. Like, I would say gather, I usually tell them, get an idea as to what you kind of want to do or certain job descriptions that you like, and just compare them. And then when you compare the couple of job descriptions that you like, you're starting to get an idea as to what you want. Then that's something to maybe a direction you need to go in. But you don't score if you don't shoot. And a lot of times I really try to preach that because I know from my own personal experience, there might have been times where I might have been interested in a job but didn't apply because I was like, can I do this? Or am I really like a good candidate for this type of role? And I would just say, don't psych yourself out. Don't give yourself the answer. Let someone else give you that answer if that's truly the case. And if they do, at least you still had a conversation with somebody, a person from that company or entity, and that's someone that you can keep in your Rolodex for the future as you continue to improve your skills or you continue to refine your skills or add skills to your tool belt. And as you're doing that, if you're still interested in that company, that position, you can stay in touch with that contact. And then you're building a genuine relationship with that person so that if something else does rise in the future, boom. But all that takes like effort and time and energy and consistency and persistence. And that's not really like something that is just plain all out there. It takes time, it takes energy. It's not a pretty process.
Yeah.
And I try to preach that to people about, when you're trying to look for these jobs that, it doesn't happen overnight. More often than not, you're going to hear a no. And I think my sales experience when I was in DC kind of helped with that, hearing a lot more no's than yeses.
Yeah.
And it's still intimidating. It's easier said than done. But I would say my word of advice is don't be afraid of failure. More often than not, it helps refine your character. And, I would just say don't limit yourself don't limit your opportunities if you can. Don't like cross yourself off the list. Let someone else cross you off the list. And if they do, then, you can proceed to move forward. And, that doesn't mean that person or that contact isn't someone that you should not stay in touch with anymore. It just means that opportunity wasn't for you at that particular time for whatever reasons.
Yeah, no, I think that summed up this whole conversation beautifully. From if you don't get that yes right away, stay in contact and then build that community and build that network. So that was definitely well put. Thank you, Devon, for that. That was awesome.
It sucks. I'm not saying it's easy. It sucks. Like,
Yeah.
but like no one wants to hear the word no or feel real awkward in a situation. But shoot, half of life can be awkward. So it's
That is very true. That is very true. Well, Devon, thank you again for joining me today. And then thank you guys for listening to our chat here. If you want to see more chats like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, IG, and of course, Facebook. All right, let's connect soon. Thank you.